as we speak. And then we have the National Secretary for Elections, Ntate Zwandile Hleko, who will assist if there is any other organizational questions. And my name is Dennis Bloom. The people around the tables here will be introduced by the Deputy President of the party. And I am going to hand over to the Deputy President of the party, Ntate Madisha. Ntate Madisha, over to you.
Thank you, Comrade Dennis, and to everyone seated here, and to the people of South Africa. Let me start by indicating that this is the Women's Month. And like we went out ourselves as COPE to celebrate, we once again want to repeat that the women of our country are extremely important. And they therefore must be respected by hook or crook. And that is why, as COPE, we have gone out to say, let us not celebrate one day, which is the 9th, of course, but all the days of the month, but not only the days of the month, but all the days of the year and even beyond. So we want to thank women of our country and even beyond our seas for having given birth to us, for having looked after us, and for having fought to make sure that indeed we have freedom, from apartheid system. So we want to thank them. Now the first point that we want to raise, because we're going to raise two, is where is COPE today? Those of South Africans who, and I believe there are many, will remember, is that COPE was formed officially in 2008. And a few months thereafter, COPE went to the national elections. And the number of people who voted for COPE were 1.3 million. Unfortunately, that number went down and down and down up to this particular stage. When we went to, or rather elected to Parliament in 2009 elections, we had 37 people who were both in the National Assembly and in the NCOP. In all the provinces of our country, COPE had very many numbers of people, MPLs, representing COPE. In all the councils around the country, we had 267 councillors. But unfortunately, those numbers went down and down and down as we went to elections, be it the national elections, provincial elections, and even the municipalities. And I'm actually even ashamed to say how many councillors do we have today in the municipalities because of momentous challenges that the organization has faced all over this very many years. The first point, therefore, that I want to say has been a challenge to COPE is that the organization where the majority of our leaders came from, and that is ANC, sent its own people into the leadership of COPE in particular to make sure that COPE was destroyed. That is why, if time allowed one would indicate that some of those people who had stolen money, who were corrupt, were instructed that unless you go and break COPE, we shall take you to jail. And they indeed came and did their best to finish COPE off. And after they had acquired that which they had been sent to COPE to do, some of them were given businesses, some of them were made ambassadors, and I can mention very many among those particular people. But then, albeit that happened, we still went on and said we're building the Congress of the People, and again, albeit we went down, we still went on. But again, ANC did not stop there, because they realized that COPE was still strong and COPE was presenting itself in a way that it would grow trust amongst the people of our country. Even at this stage as we speak, therefore, what the ANC has done has been to deploy even more people that have been able to thwart the movement of COPE, and that is why the numbers have been going down like this. Now, what I want to say is we have gone out as the Congress of the People to come up with a number of steps. The first one, we have said, all the provinces of COPE must have a change of leadership. Why? It's constitutional in any way. We're not just rising to say, now we are changing the leadership. No, we're following the Constitution, because the people who were in the leadership in all the provinces up to this stage are no longer there constitutionally. They have exceeded 3 years of the constitutional stay in the leadership. And that is why we agreed, of course, led by our president, we moved from one province to the other to say that we must change this particular leadership, not to say we're kicking them out, but then they must be there to prepare for the next congresses. So all the provinces are preparing the next congresses. So the people that we have in all the provinces are the interim leadership structures. So even the ones that we are going to introduce here today are the interim leaders. In all but 2 provinces, we had that kind of thing. It was only Gauteng and Limpopo. And what I want to say is that the other provinces would not have any problem whatsoever. We only had problem here in Gauteng, and I shall explain, and another problem in Limpopo. But I want to say that in Limpopo, of course, we are going to handle that. In Gauteng, we are handling that now. And there is no one who must ever rise and say they are leaders elsewhere and they therefore shall do anything that they want to do with COPE here. We are following the Constitution. We are following the resolutions that were taken by the national leadership of COPE, and we are moving forward. That is why we are here. That is the first thing. So I'm saying, therefore, that we were up there, we have gone down, down, down there. We're number 3 at the level of Parliament, okay? It was ANC, it was DA, it was COPE. We're number 3 out of 15 political parties then. But today, unfortunately, we are number 12 out of 14 political parties of Parliament. And in all the other provinces, we don't have any persons as MPLs. Now, that is why, as COPE, we are saying we've got to deal with this as a matter of urgency. I said earlier on that we had 267 councillors. But then I'm afraid, I mean, actually, I feel ashamed if I were to rise today and tell you how many councillors do we have. But then let me give you an example of saying here in Gauteng, for example, where we had the second biggest number of councillors. We only have 3 councillors here. In Johannesburg, in Ekurhuleni, and in Tshwane. And I must thank Comrade Dennis Bloom, whom we have sent, I'm referring to the national structure, to go and negotiate on our behalf when he meets with the other political parties in the, government, the coalition governments, the municipality councils that are there. They have been, and I want to thank all these parties, they have been able to agree that, for example, the Johannesburg councillor from COPE will be the chairperson of all the chairpersons, chair of all the chairpersons. In Ekurhuleni, we were given an MMC position. In Tshwane, we have a speaker. Now, that is why we want to say we have been able to work with the other political parties. We have been able to move forward. They trust us, and we are moving forward. Now, that is extremely important. But then, in this province and one other province, we faced very serious problems where I want to indicate without any fear or favor that the levels of corruption have contributed to the milieu in which we exist today. And we've begun now to deal with all that kind of nonsense. So that is the first thing that I want to indicate. Now, the leadership, again, that we're putting in all the provinces, which is interim. It's interim. Even the ones that we are going to announce here are interim. Emphasize this so that none amongst them can rise tomorrow and say, I am a leader. They're interim leaders of COPE. They prepare for the coming congresses. Okay. Now, what they will be doing is to ensure that by December we have the provincial congresses and we prepare for the National Congress, which will take place next year, but they prepare again vehemently for the national elections in 2024. Therefore, none amongst these ones who are seated here will rise and say, whether you like it or not, I am a leader. No, they're here as interim leadership as we move forward. Now, I emphasized this point to say we have corruption, and next time I will be able to say to the media, to the people of South Africa, to everyone, that when we talk about corruption, here are examples. Because I want to say that we even have proof, we have papers to show that corruption has permeated our provinces there and there and there. But in Gauteng, that is extremely, is terrible. We will announce later. But then the leadership that we have come up with here, interim leadership, not permanent, but interim, their work is going to be to prepare for this thing, are the following. All those people who said that they were chairpersons, they were secretaries, they were whatever, they are no longer there. I want to say that each time we call them to say, let's have a meeting and look into this thing, they did what? They would call the lawyers. I will give you the letters from the lawyers who said you must never hold a meeting to talk to the organization. How? How? We want to take the organization forward. And these fellows say, don't have a meeting to take the organization forward. The lawyers will then write us letters to say, you must never hold a meeting. Why? Hence I'm talking about corruption and people who don't want to take the organization forward. And I know when you talk about corruption, you see I was born in a rural village, extremely rural. And if you go there and say corruption, our grandmothers, grandfathers, and our people there, they don't understand what corruption is. If I say you are corrupt, it means you are a thief, you steal, okay? That's corruption. And that is what we have. I'm therefore wanting to do that, to explain that. Now, the temporary interim leadership that we have come up with here are these gentlemen, these ladies and gentlemen who are here. I'm very happy that there are others who were in the semi-permanent structure of leadership that was there. But then I'm very happy that they've moved and they've come here to say, we understand the Constitution. For example, the provincial treasurer is here. For example, the deputy secretary of the province is here. For example, the deputy chair of the province is here. Now, these people were in that so-called leadership that was wanting not to move out. Okay? They are here, and therefore the only people who are remaining are two non-important people in the organization. I'm saying non-important. Why? Because they insist that the organization must go on under their leadership, and yet constitutionally they're not supposed to be there. Yet they are defying what the organization is doing in all the other provinces. And this must come to an end, whether they like it or not. Now, the people that we have here, the one that is going to be a convener, it's agreed, is Deborah Mutupe. If Deborah Mutupe could come here, please. We're not saying chairperson, we say convener, because we say chairperson, she may then want to be permanent. You are a temporary, an interim, a convener. That means when the meetings convene, you chair, okay? You chair the meetings for the coming 3 months only. Not, you are there not permanently. I think this must be understood by the people at least. Now, the coordinator, Comrade Mkolisi, Ntombela, in the permanent structures will say that's the provincial secretary. But Mfunde, you are not the provincial secretary. You are temporary, meaning interim, okay, for the next coming 3 months, because together with all these other comrades, we've got to work and make sure that we organize the organization to be strong. Number one, we start dealing with this corruption that is there, and we are going to handle that, okay? And then you apologize to the people of South Africa. And we're going to be there, as I hear, do apologize to South Africans for having really moved away from COPE because of this kind of nonsense that is happening from a few people that purport to be, good in the name of Christ and so on. Now, all these kind of things have got to be put aside. We know as COPE that we're going there. Now, the next one, who must look after the money, and I hope we won't take a cent and put that in maybe in a plastic bag, is Comrade Terence Munam. How are the plastic bag? They are all from the different regions. And I must emphasize that Gauteng has 5 regions, all right? And 5 regions are here, all the regions are here, okay? Now, for example, Terence is from Tshwane, a region. Comrade Nkoli is from Ekurhuleni region. Comrade Deborah is from Johannesburg region, all right? And then the other comrades are from the other regions, all right, as well. Sidibeng and West Rand, all the regions are here. And therefore, there is no one, I want to say, that shall ever rise and say, I do not know this thing, okay? Now, the next comrade, I hope, please rise as you, as I call your name. Hey, what's wrong with my Kolelwa Mgaguli?
She has apologized.
Oh, okay. Usali toilet. Yeah, kusbaga man. Muikezi Tadi?
He's at work as well.
Oh, he has gone to work. All right. He has gone to work. They did not release him, but he's here. Lefu Hanung. Lefu Day. Okay. Comrade Mbele. Thank you. Lindwe Gumede. Comrade. At work. But then they have agreed. They were part of the meeting even before we could start. Mary Mudise. Peter Mufugeng has gone to work at the moment. It's Peter. Peter Mufugeng, okay? Ariel Mukete.
He's working
at work, all right? Comrade Tabo Ngoman.
at work as well, from Sidibeng.
From Sidibeng, said work as well. Their youth are here, okay? And The women are here as well, all right? But then, like I said, all the regions are here, okay? So this is our temporary, interim leadership. That is there to make sure that they organize, and in all the regions, in all the municipalities, in all the so-called, well, not in our case, but branches, each and every corner, they organize. And I want to demand that every week we get the report. How far have they gone? Okay? They go from door to the other, apologizing to the people of South Africa, all these 1.3 million people, to say, as COPE, we did mistakes. Why? Because we were pushed into doing this kind of things. And this must come to an end. And as I end, want to, from my own position, say, hi, South Africans, we apologize. We left those people to do, those people of that particular political party, to do anything they wanted to do with and to us. And we just left them, you know, like poor goats. And they went on and did whatever they did. Secondly, that as a sequel to that, the people of South Africa did not get that which they were supposed to get, which includes, you know, proper delivery of services and all these kind of things that are necessary. And again, because the corruption that has really arisen is as a result of us not having done that which we were supposed to do. So we apologize, all South African people, please come back. We invite you, please come back. Here in Gauteng, for example, I say to you, comrades who are seated here, out of the 16 million people that were here, that are here, make sure that we win this thing. People know what they're supposed to do. You in Sidibeng, there are 1 million people there. Make sure that they come back home. This is where they belong. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. I'm going to open up for questions from the media. You are welcome. Yeah, the Deputy President and the Secretary will answer. Can we start here? Oh, ladies first.
It's a women's turn.
I was very scared in pointing you first, but now it's fine.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Mbali. Letani from Newsroom Africa. I've got a couple of questions. Firstly, 2 weeks ago, you wanted your president gone. How far are you with that process? Why isn't he here at this press briefing? He doesn't agree with some of the things that you have said as a party, saying that it's time for him to go. My next question is, you know, the allegations you are saying around, you know, the reason why there's a collapse in COPE is because of the ANC and they put in their own people to try and destroy the movement. One would say that you've had your own internal battle, and even now, as we are in this press briefing, you're still having your own internal battle with your own president. You know, why can't you address your own internal battles before you start pinning and blaming the likes of the ANC? What do you have to say to someone who says the party's gone? You know, you're saying that you're preparing for 2024 elections. You know, the likes of the ANC have been told that, you know, the chances of them getting 50% very slim. How do you plan to resuscitate COPE, who had so many members of parliament after the 2009 elections? How sure are you that you would be able to bring and call back those South Africans who trusted you with their votes in 2009? Thank you.
Thank you. Can we first deal with that?
Now, mine are interlinked actually,
Yeah.
so...
Okay, yeah.
So,
Yeah, sure.
I'll be more direct. It's Ndayezo from Power FM,
Yeah.
There's a notable absentee, and that is the president. Mine is very direct. Why is he not here? The second one is, you mentioned, like Mbali said, rogue elements that infiltrated the organization. And I don't know whether you would be sent to court for naming them, but I'll take my chances and take give us some examples of those that came into the organization from the ANC and were rewarded with the positions that you mentioned. And the last one, on the issue of the confidence levels going into the elections, how confident are you that if there is a change of leadership within the organization, you will be able to regain that confidence from the electorate that voted in 2009? The dynamics have completely changed. The 2009 voter, some of them are 6 feet under. You've got the introduction of parties like the EFF, Action SA, to mention Part AQ. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Over to you, DP.
Okay.
And
All right. No, thank you very much. These are easy but challenging questions. But let me start with the easiest one. I think you both have mentioned that. The absence from this meeting, the bar president. Why I came late here is because I was with the president and the members of staff. There they are seated. We were working, busy working at the office. Lots and lots of work. And he, after that, had to rush to another meeting. So that is why he's not here. But I want to emphasize, I'm late for this meeting because together with the president, we had to go and work. And some of these members know that I had to rush to that particular meeting because the president had said, let's make sure 9 o'clock we are here, we meet. And he doesn't take chances. I mean, I don't take chances. If he says, young man, be here this time, I must run, okay? He's very strict when it comes to the time and so on. So he and I and members of staff, we were at the office, had a meeting, and why they themselves even came a bit late is because they had to finalize some of the things there. Now, the second thing, I think Bali raises it as well, is the intra-organizational fight, okay? Not at that level. Not between president and, as it has been raised, between president and some of us, or between some of us and president. No, the organization has always been together. I was together with these comrades in a COPE from days before COPE was launched. Okay, we formed COPE together with our president. All right. So divisions we know. Some of you, of course, know the organizations from which some of us come as the most senior leaders, of course. We know the divisions that shall always be there. In COPE, just like any other organization, there shall be, or there is, there are divisions. Divisions which led to the membership of COPE to go down. That takes me to the other point that we have raised of people whom I indicated were shifted, or rather were sent to COPE and moved out. And I further want to emphasize, yes, they were deployed into the Congress of the People. They did whatever they did. They were able to destroy this organization. I heard what you said, Bamsand. We can actually sit. When time comes, I can be able to say to you, so and so, so and so, so and so. But that is not the time for now. Okay? That is not the time for now. Our time now is to say, here is COPE, this is where we are going. But like I'm saying, it is an open secret that some of these people were given businesses. I, for example, was called to be, and I said, I made an announcement, it's not a secret, that here I am being offered a mine. You remember where, Comrade Dennis?
Yes.
Because I called you, comrades, and I made you to listen to that. a mine in Zimbabwe, where at the same time I was promised 600,000 US dollars so that I could open that mine for myself and use that money to run the whole thing. Why? Because they had come to me to apologize. That's the ANC fellows. And I said, no, leave me alone. I can't come in and stand for that nonsense. It's not a secret, because I took that to our leadership and even made them to listen to what that fellow was saying. Because he was sent, we were seated here in our meeting of the Congress National Committee, and he came by helicopter. They chartered him a helicopter, he came there, and he took me aside where he said, bro, look, they are apologizing, those fellows. They are saying 600,000 US dollars, and they're saying, please, a mine in Zimbabwe. I said, no, please, thank you, guys. I'm not going to take that. So if you want us to give names, yes, we are prepared to do that. Okay. But not now, because let's concentrate on what you're doing. All right. But then we have that. But there are very many other people who were sent here into COPE to do that which we are saying has actually killed COPE. But COPE is now resuscitating. We're coming up. That's why you go to Parliament. We have been respected there. Whenever meetings have got to sit, you are the best witness. We are being recognized. We have been called. We go and sit. We put our positions. The organization goes forward. The nation goes forward. And we shall never say, no, here, we're not going to take that. So this thing of saying, I want to repeat, Mbali, you have raised that. Vamsanda, you have raised that as well. No. Our president, like I said, together with the staff, myself, are preparing for whatever we've got to prepare for the coming weekend. We were together in the meeting. I left him there so that I could rush, because they were saying rush. People, these leaders here are waiting for us to go on with this kind of thing. Now, the collapse, okay, you said due to ANC, yes, they've contributed. And Bona self, yes, they're collapsing. They literally have collapsed. I mean, I was a member there for 31 years. We know what we're talking about. That party is literally not there. It is not there, literally. And there are major, very many problems there. So I know what we are talking about. We were there. Both Comrade Dennis, they were there in Parliament representing that organization. You were there as a member, Comrade Teko, even as an MPL. So we know all this kind of things, and we're therefore talking from the, first hand. We know what is happening. They're collapsing. They literally have collapsed, and they're faced with those kind of problems. And I want to tell you, they will never get anywhere. But then on Wednesday is tomorrow, together with the other political parties, opposition parties, you may have been invited. I suppose we have been. With other opposition parties, COPE will be there to say, this is where we believe we've got to go. So let me not divulge, but then why? Because we agreed with the other political parties what we are going to do, okay? With the people who are stealing like hell, with the people who are extremely corrupt, doing all these kind of things, with the people who, whenever you rise to say this is wrong, what do? You get involved in a car accident, okay? You get involved in this kind of thing or that. We know all that. And tomorrow, listen to COPE amongst all the smaller political parties. We shall be able to rise. But then, please, as I end on that particular point, we are united as COPE, and this collapsing of the organization in the provinces, we are fixing that, and we shall be able to go on. I can swear, COPE, you shall see it. It's coming, it's here. Come on to allow. Okay. Yeah.
Can I?
I have a question around COPE. What do you have to say to someone who says
Yeah.
Don't say that Coke died a long time ago.
Okay.
And you saying you're trying to resuscitate the party, you're trying to attract more voters. What do you have to say to someone who will be voting in 2024? Why should they put their hopes on Coke where it has collapsed a long time ago?
Okay.
Follow-up, yeah.
So mine is also a follow-up.
Yes.
Again, on the president, is he in agreement with the collapsing of the structures across the board? And are you and him in agreement, the two of you? I just want to be more direct. You are speaking a political language.
Okay.
Sorry, again,
Yes,
on
yes.
the president, where are you? I mean, the likes of Dennis Bloom just 2 weeks ago was saying that it's time for the president to go. You didn't answer me on that one. How does Coke feel right now? Is it time for your president to step down and allow for new leaders to take over so that you can attract voters in 2024?
These are two different things. Number one, the question that you have raised, Gomsan, where is... Oh, okay. You see, I'm very ugly, that's why. About where is the president when it comes to the collapsing of this? Okay. I want to say to you that the collapsing, as we call it, of the provincial structures, I've gone to fewer provinces than the president. The president has gone to more provinces. He has been there in KwaZulu-Natal, in the Northwest, in the Eastern Cape, in the Western Cape, and so on. He has been there more than myself. I actually went to a few. I was in the KZN, and here in Gauteng now, fewer than he himself. But then, yes, you understand, he could not go to all the provinces. We are moving as one, okay? You can't say, well, now you like Limpopo, go there. Or I hate Gauteng, I can't go there. No. This is a collective resolution. We are now moving, and the president has been there. Collectively, we've been moving from one province to the other. Here in Gauteng, we could have come long ago, had it not been because of certain, actually two. I'm saying two because it's there in the court, that thing, in the papers of the lawyers. Okay, I say two. That is a chairperson, former chairperson and former provincial secretary. Had it not been because of that, we could have dealt with the issue of Gauteng long ago. But the president, I repeat, is part of this entire process. So there's no division there. And the question that you further have raised, is he going to step down and so on and so on? The Congress of COPE is next year, all right? And his term of office will come to an end at the Congress, all right? That is what I want to emphasize. All the leaders who are presidents serve for only 2 terms in line with the Constitution. But then what Comrade Dennis raised was that the president is not well, and I can affirm that. I further can affirm that, yes, indeed, like Comrade Dennis said, we did visit the president. I can further affirm that, yes, like Comrade Dennis said, we did so about 4 times and spoke to him and said, yes, you are here. We are the people who live with you basically almost daily, all right? And we think that given your state of health, it will be better for you to rest. He agreed, of course. He agreed. And, but then, we are not saying go out. No. We are not an organization of, that believes in a coup d'etat. We are not following that. If, for example, I am unwell tomorrow, the interim leaders, you are interim, meaning temporary, and yourselves can come and say, Willie Madisha, rest. I will do so, okay? If you come to me and say that. So I want to emphasize that. It is not a coup d'etat. It was a result of discussions, as Comrade Dennis explained. And the president agreed, and there is proof. He agreed that, yes, let me go and rest. But then it is something that is going on, and we, of course, are worried that the president will go for operations and so on and so on. Let me end that by saying, Kamsan, that respect that man, please. He has spent very many years fighting for liberation in the country. We are now free as South Africans. He has gone to Robben Island. He was the national chair of that ruling party. He led us in the United Democratic Front in the 80s and 90s. Okay, he did his best. He led the students, etc. Very strong leader, okay? But then you understand, there comes a time when a man is not okay. I cannot simply rise and say, after a number of years when I'm very ill, and say, no, remember, I was the president of 4 million workers of COSATU, or I led the Communist Party at national level in the country, or I led all the teachers on the entire continent from Africa, from Cape to Cairo, and the workers I did so. No, I can't. If you, Mbali, next time you become a member of COPE, or say, okay, please, and then I agree with you, then that's fine. So please understand, Comrade Dennis did not do anything wrong. We did not do anything wrong. We said, Comrade, we think this is the case.
But before you follow up, what do you want to add?
Yeah, no, I wanted
Before
to add, I think. No, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank you. I wanted to add on the question of do we have confidence that people will come and vote for the Congress of the People? We are very proud as the Congress of the People because in 2008, we told people of South Africa that what was coming from the other party was going to give us problems. And we warned them, we told them, and unfortunately no one then listened to us. But if you check, all the things that we have raised then were relevant then, are still relevant even today. And it's worse now because they are practical. You can see the sewer running on the streets. You can see that people are struggling to get water. People are not free in their own homes, violence and so on. So those were the things that we were warning South Africans about. We said we are bringing hope and change. And we are still there. Of course, in the process, there were temporary challenges that we had. As when you have a party, new party just opened, and everyone come running, it's difficult sometimes to screen, but we have learned from that. We are moving forward now. And we have left and opened gates for many parties for democracy in South Africa. If you check, many parties that were formed after us as a result of what the decisions that were taken by the men and women who stood up then and challenged the ruling party. Today, we have more parties. And of course, political landscape is changing. It's a fact. There is no party that will ever have one party that will have 50 plus 1 and so on. Now we are talking coalition. We are positioning ourselves as the Congress of the People to work with other parties, moving forward, changing the lives of the people in the country. Not one party. We are not a one party. We don't believe in one party. We are saying we work with other parties and build South Africa and have a South Africa that people have been crying for. It's us who can help. We can stand and participate with other parties. That is what we are pushing. That's why we are saying it's important for us to have proper machinery on the ground. Hence, we're starting by saying, let's have our structures that are well oiled in preparation for 2024. Let's make sure that our structures are interacting with the voter daily to make the voter aware that we are there. That is what we are doing. Hence, we have already established interim structures all over the provinces. We are in Gauteng now, which is the 8th province. We are left with 1. And we are saying from November to October to December, we'll be going through provincial congresses to get a new mandate. And next year, we'll be going to the National Congress, which it will give us a new leadership that will be able to take the party forward. You know, you need fresh blood. You need young people to come in with fresh ideas and take the party forward. This is what we are building. It's not just something that will happen overnight. It's something that you need to build moving forward. So we were still confident that Congress of the People will get seats. Congress of the People working with other parties, of course, it will be part of government one day in South Africa, and we are preparing ourselves to do that. If you check in the local government elections, you can check in Tshwane, we are there. You can go to the city of Johannesburg, we are there. You can check in Ekurhuleni, even in a small municipality in the Northern Cape, we have a speaker there. So it shows you that the Congress is still alive. The Congress is still there. It just needs to be pushed, and that is what we are doing currently, moving forward. So we are preparing the party for 2024. The whole programs that we are doing, we are preparing the party. Yes, of course, the issue of Ndate President Likota was raised by Ndate Bloom correctly, so I don't want to repeat on that, because we are saying there come a time sometimes when you just want to push, but unfortunately, your body is no longer carrying you. Your heart is still there. But when time has come, you need to. So we have approached the president as this leadership, and not just as individual. It was discussed in a meeting, and we approached the president. He said to us he's waiting for the CNC, which is the Congress National Committee, to discuss this and take this forward. But that does not mean we are fighting. It does not mean we are fighting with one another. It means that we are raising concerns, because in Parliament, we had 2 seats. But if you check, we're always having 1 member, which is Ndate Madisha. Not because Ndate Court didn't want to go, but because of health. And now voters were already asking us questions. What is happening? So we didn't want to, we need to take the interest of the people at heart to say these people have voted us. These people wanted us to work in Parliament and represent them. But now if we just have a seat there, but we are not able to utilize it, no, it can't. Therefore, we had to raise that within the Court. And then he has agreed to say he's waiting for the CNC, which the CNC will sit very soon. We'll see what is going to happen beyond the CNC. Thank you very much.
$600 million.
Yeah?
$600 million.
Hey, Guru, what's what game, Ray? What's what game, sir? To some of us, commitment comes first. If I say I pledge, okay, then that which or to that whom I have pledged shall always come first. You may remember that when I was a member of the Politburo of the Communist Party, the South African Communist Party, it was, trailing when it came to the finances. I don't know if you remember that. Okay. It was a very serious problem. And at that time, at the same time, I was president of the trade union movement. And through once, being in touch with with capital, I had to go and raise funds. And at some stage, I raised more than 500,000. Okay. It's more, not only that. That's why after they had given me that particular money, I took it not even 1 cent, but to the Communist Party. It's unfortunate that a particular individual, instead of taking the money into the purse of the organization, that particular individual did not do that. Hence, I even requested the leaders and former leaders then of the party, like Boroni Castles, like our former then Deputy General Secretary Charles Ngakula and others, to say, Nkokelizam, we can't go on like this. And others as well. I said, we can't go on like this, because if ordinary workers here cannot have their salaries, and we have this kind of milieu, this kind of a situation, we can't allow that kind of thing. But that is not the one instance only, okay? There are very many other instances as well that one can quote. Yes, one can go on and be a hungry person. I mean, after all, I come from the, I'm part of the working class and the poor, and I'm prepared to be like that until death, okay? And even if tomorrow you can say, here is $100 million or whatever, trillion and so on, I'm not prepared to do that, to take that. I will sit in COPE, which is extremely poor, and go on. So I do not take that. But then, like I'm saying, I call these comrades to come and, that's why we said, I said to them, you remember Comrade Dennis, and that fellow, they were seated there in that bar saying, bro, we are ready. You have a mine. You have 600, not rand, US, American dollars. They said it's ready. Okay? These men are apologizing. Are you prepared? Just move out, man. I said, no, thank you. Thank you. Let's meet when I'm in the coffin. I won't take that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks. A follow-up?
My
Yeah.
last question. You speak of your conference that's taking place next year, and you speak of your president, who, from the sounds of it, is willing to listen to you and the leadership that it's time for him to obviously step down, obviously after the conference next year. What is your succession plan looking like? And I'm asking this because you're talking about preparing for 2024 elections, and your conference is only taking place next year. One would say that's a bit too late when some political parties have already started campaigning. Is this a conversation you are having as COPE in terms of how will your campaign, especially as your leader, you know, I mean, looking at the 2019 elections, it is indeed the faces of a party that also contributes in terms of your campaign. So what is COPE's succession plan looking like, and what is the conversation you are having so that you can have people vote for you in 2024?
I've always said this to our members, that, and that's what I believe in, and I'm repeating it to them, that the organization does not belong to an individual. It has its owners, and the owners are the ordinary members. He is not the owner. I'm not the owner. And Dade Lokota is not the owner. Dade Bloom is not the owner. No leader is the owner. In a properly, in a proper organization. I know in the other organization they believe that you must stand there and smile every time. Then that's the face of the organization. No, the face of the organization, I believe, the owners are the face of the organization. They must go there and run and organize. We are there, we are spokespersons, okay? They must instruct us, do 1, 2, 3, and we shall do that. But then, when it comes to, I mean, look, South Africa, how many people do we have? More than 60 million, eh? I can't move from one house to the other to request each and every member to come and vote for COPE. They must move from one house to the other. The women, for example, must run from one house to the other. The youth, they must run from one house to the other. These leaders must run from one house to the other. Not this face called a ball pen. Okay? There must be the people there. The owners must do that. Now, on this point, Mbali, of Congress, that's of course in line with our Constitution. We respect that. The Constitution, for example, like I'm saying, I repeat, if you hold this position, President, for example, it's only 2 terms, all right? And our President, of course, because of the this momentous challenges I spoke about, has occupied that for 13 years, okay? It's not him, he's not guilty, but then it's because of a whole lot of other things that I can't repeat, okay? Which, of course, I know you as the media persons, you know. And so it's the term of office is coming to an end then, okay? But then at the moment, what has been raised is that even before the Congress, you may look into resting a bit. And that's what we are talking about, okay? Hence, I repeat, no coup d'etat, but yes, the face is not the face of William Madisha or this interim chair or the comrade who's running the women and so on, this interim leadership. No. The people themselves, the owners of the organization, are the face of the organization. We must just go and back from one house to the other. But I repeat, you members of COPE, you the people who were members of COPE but have run away or have lost faith in COPE, please come back.
That's all, ne? Yeah. The last thing that I want to say, you see, there's the leaders now, and here's the leaders. I want you to have communication with them. You are free. I'm going to give them your numbers as well, but you must also give them, because they must be now in Gauteng, the people who will communicate. Nambali, I want to go and play with my grandchildren. But you know me for a very long time, and you are tired of my face. Bali, I want to groom other people. But thank you very much for coming and have that patience. I know that